Hello. So today we are going to be doing a cut crease eyeshadow look. And to start off with, we're just going to prime the eye with some concealer. You can use eyeshadow primer or concealer, it doesn't really matter. Just something that you can have on your eye to act as a base for your eyeshadows. And I'm blending this out with a beauty sponge. Again, doesn't matter what you blend this out with. I'm using one of the diamond sponges from Real Techniques. And next, we're going to be going in with any small fluffy brush that you may have, a small fluffy blending brush. And I'm going to go in with this mauve kind of deep shade in the Jaclyn Hill palette. And I'm not going to set my concealer because I find when I set it, it kind of dulls down the shadows a little bit. If I don't set it, they're more pigmented and it looks kind of crazy to begin with, but believe it or not, the shadows are way easier to blend and you don't have to pack as much on because they just show up better. And as you can see, I am going to start making the shape that I want on my outer corner, the winged out kind of effect. I'm also going to blend this up into my crease all the way into my inner corner. This first initial shade, we are going to be blending throughout the whole entire crease, the outer corner. I do want it to be deeper on the outer corner, so that's where I'm going to be building up most of the shadow, but you do want to blend it out all over the lid. Next, I'm going to go into that same brush, and I'm going to go into like a deeper purpley color. And this one, we're just going to pack right on the outer corner. And once you've laid down most of the shadow, you're just going to want to start blending that into your outer crease and defining that outer wing just a little bit more. And if you just do small flicks on the outer corner, it should make that wing no problem. You won't even need any tape. You just have to be gentle with it and try not to rush it. Blending takes time, and I find that the more you take your time, the better it turns out. Next, I'm going to go in with this more dense blending brush from e.l.f. and this deeper red shade. And what we're going to do is we're just going to pack this on the outer corner. I'm not going to do any sweeping motions with this brush. I'm just going to pat until that shadow is exactly how I want it. Again, staying on the outer corner of the eye. I don't want this anywhere near my inner corner. I am going to smoke this out into the outer wing, however. And again, I'm just going to go back and forth with those brushes. You just want to make sure everything's really nice and blended out. If you have to go back in with your big fluffy brush, then that is perfectly fine. Just have to make sure everything is blended out very nicely. No harsh edges. So next I'm going to take this small detailer brush and my concealer from earlier, and we're going to begin to cut out our crease. And when I cut out my crease, you have to make sure that you take your time. If it's something that you don't do very often, then you're definitely going to want to take your time with it. Don't rush it, because if you rush it, you might mess up and you might have to start all over, and that's no fun. When I cut my crease, I cut it a little bit above my actual crease. I find that this makes my lid space look bigger than it actually is. It also just opens up my eyes more, and you can just see more of the lid color that way. I also pack on quite a thick layer of concealer just so that shadow also just really pops. I'm going to take that same brush and go into this peachy shimmery shade in the Jaclyn Hill palette. And I'm not going to wet my brush or anything. I'm just going to go into it as is. And we're just going to start packing that onto the eyelid. You don't want to move the brush around too much. You just want to pack that right onto that concealer. And because the concealer is still tacky, it should stick no problem, and it should look absolutely gorgeous. Next, we're going to go back in with our blending brush from earlier, and we're just going to blend out that harsh concealer edge And I did find that the concealer was kind of hard to blend out, but it just takes a little time, a little bit more blending effort than before. And I'm just going to go back in with those mauve shades and the purpley and the red shades, and just really work at deepening up that outer corner because it may have gotten lost in translation, and work at really blending out that harsh edge to just make sure it just looks absolutely seamless. After that, you just want to take your favorite eyeliner. I'm using the NYC liquid eyeliner, and this one's actually discontinued, but it does not matter at all which eyeliner you use, just whichever one you prefer. And I am going to do a winged liner for this look, but it really doesn't matter what eyeliner you do with this. I think it would look beautiful with no liner, just regular liner, or a winged liner. It's pretty much your preference. Now I am going to take that same small detailer brush from earlier. I'm going to go into this very light pink shimmery shade. And the shade, it has the same tones as the shade that we used on our lid. It's just way lighter, way brighter, and I'm using this to highlight my inner corner. And I think it complements the eyeshadow beautifully, and it just really brings out those inner corners. Now I'm putting some mascara on, and it doesn't matter what mascara you use, whichever one works best for you. And I would have used false eyelashes with this look just to make it a little bit more dramatic, but I didn't have any, and in the end, my natural lashes turned out to work just fine. I think it turned out beautifully either way. And so after this, I'm just going to go off camera and do the other eye, and I will be right back to do my face. Okay, so I'm going to moisturize my face using my Luminizer Primer by Dr. Brandt and my Peri Para Kitten Balm. My face is pretty dry, so I have to make sure it's nice and moisturized before I go on with my foundation. I'm using the Milani Conceal and Perfect foundation today. This is a very buildable coverage foundation. You can pretty much build it up all the way to full coverage. And it's very dewy, and I love it in the summertime when I have a tan. And it just really helps with my dry skin situation, I find. If I use a matte foundation, it just clings to my dry patches, and it's just not a good situation at all. So I'm just going to blend all of that out with a damp beauty sponge and make sure everything is blended very nicely down into my neck and everywhere. I'm going to go on with that same concealer from earlier, and we are going to put that under the eyes. This is going to give us a little bit of a highlighted effect. Nothing too crazy, and we're going to take that also down the nose and around the corners of the nose to cover up any redness, and on our forehead a little bit, and just a tiny bit on the chin. And I'm going to blend that out with a damp beauty sponge, just like earlier. And I'm going to go in some HD finishing powder, and what I like to do with this is take my damp sponge and just tap off any excess into the cap of the powder. I don't like to put a whole lot of powder on my face just because my skin is super dry, and this just exaggerates the dryness. So I just tap off any of the excess in the cap, put a little bit in with my damp beauty sponge, and as soon as I put that on, I'm just going to brush it away with a fluffy brush. I'm not going to let it sit there for very long because, again, I do have dry skin. I'm just going to put that whatever left on the brush all over my face. I'm going to go with my Bare Minerals Bare Pro foundation, and with this one I'm going to go into this foundation with my damp beauty sponge to set the rest of my face. I don't like using a brush. I don't like using anything else besides my damp beauty sponge because it doesn't dry my skin out. I find that it sets my foundation while leaving my skin still dewy. My skin is not sticky to the touch after I do this or anything, but it leaves that natural glow to the skin, and I really like it. Okay, next we're going to go into the Pure Bronze and Brighten palette. I'm going to take the bronzer in this palette and bronze my face up with this Moda Pro pointed blush brush. And this bronzer can get kind of patchy, and I just kind of have to work with it and just sit there and blend it out. And I find that no matter how patchy a bronzer is, if you sit there and blend it out long enough, it will blend out. It's kind of the only bronzer I have, so I just have to work with it. I just have to sit here for a while and blend it out, but it's okay. It ends up looking beautiful in the end. Next, I'm going to take my damp beauty sponge and just clean up underneath where that bronzer is. I didn't add any product. I'm just cleaning up spillage from the bronzer. And next, I'm going to go in with my Milani Luminoso blush and a Real Techniques contour brush. I like to use this brush for blush because I think it really just gets the apples of my cheeks so well, even if it is a contour brush. And this blush is very highlighting. It gives you a very natural glow on your cheeks, and I find that so beautiful. And I decided with this look, my skin already has a natural glow to it. It looks very dewy, and the blush gave me a very highlighted look. And my eyes are super shiny, so I decided not to go in with a highlighter today. I didn't want to look too blinding, so I'm just going to leave the face at that. And next, we're going to go in with some lipstick. I'm going to go in with the Maybelline Color Whisper lipstick. This is in the shade Who Wore It Redder. And it's not a red shade, so I don't know why it's called that. It's kind of like hot pink. And I personally love bright lip shades, so if I can wear a bright lip shade, I will. I don't like neutrals. I don't like how they look on me. I would rather be wearing a bright statement lip, no matter what I'm doing. But if you like nude lips, natural lips, then that is a-okay, and I think this look would actually look absolutely gorgeous with a natural lip, but I just had to go with my hot pink. I'm going to put this Sephora gloss over it, and this is just a baby pink gloss, and it's just going to make my lips look glossy. We all love a glossy lip, and so this is the final look. I am super happy with how this turned out. If you take your time, cut creases are super easy, and this one is beautiful coral shades for summertime. Really brings out my brown eyes, and I'm just so happy with how it turned out. So thank you everybody for watching, and if you liked the video, then leave a thumbs up.